Hey guys, so Lord here, back again with another action figure review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Mythic Legion's All-Stars 5+ Okiados. At least that's how I think you're supposed to say his name. Of course, this figure right here, sitting before you, was brought to us by the fine folks over at Horsemen Studios and was initially a PowerCon, I want to say 2022 exclusive. I actually tried to get this figure back during PowerCon because my good buddy Brian Starner, aka Toy Nuts, went to PowerCon 2022, but by the time he got to the Four Horsemen table, they were sold out. Is what it is. I could have just pre-ordered him, and of course I did, because Web Store, one of my favorite evil warriors from Masters of the Universe, when they announced this guy, I was like, holy crap. I didn't expect that. I was expecting Beastman and Fisto, and instead we got this guy and Xylothon, who we'll be looking at later. He's, of course, a Stratos homage. So, completely out of left field. Same thing with this year. We are getting, is it Agent 83 and Scourge, who are Many-Faces and Whiplash homages. So does that mean we're going to get Clawful next? Because they're doing some pretty obscure picks with these homages lately. I think it was at All-Stars 4. We had Mossman with Bryophytus and Mephitor with Stinkor, my good buddy Evil Villain's favorite. And then before that it was Lord Dragul, who's Hordak, and Dorina Dorito. It's Dorina Honoris, but Dorina Dorito around here, okay? That's She-Ra, right? And then before that, I think it was Krona and Perplor. And that's as far back as I go. I was an idiot. I didn't buy Calvaros and Melina, so I might have to ask around the Cabal, good old Mythic Legion's Cabal, over on old Facebook, try and get those. Hopefully for less than $100 a piece. Fingers crossed. But, yeah, that's my fault. I had plenty of time to buy them. I just didn't, because, like I said, I'm an idiot. So, and then Keltis and Adamon, I never had a fair crack at, really. I had a little bit of time to buy those, but not nearly as long as Calvaros and Melina. Otherwise, I probably would have had those two, at least. But, enough of my past mistakes aside. Let's get right to the chase and get into the meat and taters of this review, where it drags out any longer than it already has. In the way of Okiados' accessories, we do get a ball and a string. That's kind of lame. I would have liked the, the chain for the Morning Star here. It's supposed to homage his kind of grapple hook there, but I would have just taken the chain, man. That said, they did use a nice bungee cord string. I don't know if this is like elastic or what, but it does kind of stretch, so you can kind of pull it back and have it whip somebody right in the teeth. So that'll do some damage, won't it? Then he also comes with a little kniff here, which is kind of the bone knife, and I guess this is supposed to homage his gun, but I feel like a crossbow would have done a better job at that, but I don't know. I feel like this guy could have been a Cosmic Legions figure, to be honest with you, because he uses a blaster, and that's kind of a big part of his character, and this knife is not really doing I don't think it's doing proper job here of homaging his blaster, to me anyways. He does come with a vampire head. This is a blue vampire. Even on screen? Yes, it is. And truth be told, it's got this little spike here. Plugs into the back. I was talking to my good buddy Patrick in the Mythic Legion's Cabal about the Vampire Legion Builder, the female one. I used her as a comparison in my Vampire Phalanx Legion Builder review. I could have swore that figure came with one of these little spike doodads that goes in the back of the head here, in case you didn't want to use the purple plume, because Advent of Decay, we got spoiled with extra accessories. Turns out, I did a review of that Vampire Legion Builder, and there was no spike to be had. So, I guess I'm just a moron, and I don't know what figures come with, so you should probably watch somebody else's review, right? Please don't. But, last but certainly not least, he does come with the strap. standard strap. Seen it a million times. We'll see it, I'm sure, a million more. And that's your lot, because he's got 4 freaking arms on his back, and if that's not enough, then you're selfish and a terrible person. You're just no good. Get out of here. But taking a closer look at Okiados here, I thought he came with some pauldrons, but I guess not. I will say this back thingy is kind of bobbly on here, so I might actually have my dad glue this down. I will say, I do wish this back thing had the shoulder pauldron pegs too. That would kind of lock it in place. I think the some of the neck pieces in Cosmic Legions that kind of cover the back ports here, they do that and go over the shoulder pauldron pegs. So I think that would have been a little better here, just because this is a lot of weight, and that's what I can assume is contributing to the fact that this is kind of bobbly on mine. I don't know if they're all going to be like that. Well, that kind of fixed it, but yeah, it's still kind of weeble wobble. It's fine now, I guess, but yeah, it's not an ideal piece, and really, it wasn't made for this torso. It was made for the Ilithia torso, the creepy vampire lady, rides the horse. But as far as Okiados' articulation goes, his creepy vampire head does rotate side to side. He does look up and down. And surprisingly, not a vampire. He's some other race that's part of the Congregation of Necronomnus. So he's one of my skeleton boys, or ghoul boys, undead, whatever. So I'm waiting to see somebody make like a bone-colored version of this guy. I think that'd be really cool. Kind of sad he doesn't have a skull head, because I would much rather have that than the vampire heads, but they did a good job with the vampire heads. Look at that. That's the vampire knight head sculpt, by the way. Doing work way back from Advent of Decay. So that's pretty cool. They painted the eyes on. You can see that. That's pretty cool. But as far as the articulation in the arms go, rotates forward and back, out, back down. He's got the bolted on crazy stuff going on. Now, his armor, you can lift it up to get more range, but it's pretty stiff on him for some reason. He does have almost 90 in the elbow there, as well as rotation. He's got a swivel in the gauntlet with a swivel in the wrist. Kind of loose on the grip hands here. And I will say, he doesn't grip his weapons that well either. It's just, they stretch the hands out and then they just kind of go whip, fall right out, but it is what it is. He does have a hinge though. Not the proper hinge, but a hinge nonetheless. He does have a ball joint in the diaphragm here, so you can crunch forward, you can crunch back, you can tilt side to side a little bit and rotate a little bit. He does have a waist twist. I don't want to monkey with this diaphragm too much, because look at all his back weight. I don't want that to get loose. His hips kick forward and back. Now, I did actually swap the crotch out on him with my old Ilithia crotch, who I actually swapped out her crotch as well. I swapped out her crotch first. I had her crotch in storage. I took her crotch out and swapped it onto this guy because his hips are kind of loose out of the box. That said, he can kick out, back, down. He does have a hinge in the knee. I did have to heat up some of this guy's hinges. They were really tight, but I guess it's better that they're tight and loose. He does have a swivel under the knee, but the 2.0s don't really get a ton of range there. He does have a swivel in the ankle, as well as a hinge and a rocker and peg holes at the bottom of the feet. I will say, this foot on mine is a little loose in certain places, so he is kind of tricky to stand, but I think the back weight kind of offsets that a little bit. I do have an extra ankle joint somewhere, but I don't know if it matches this guy's color. That, and I think it's a different finish. So, a little loose here and there, but he is a thin figure. I kind of prefer him to be a little bit looser than, say, the Sir Ilgar we looked at yesterday, who is also bony skeleton fella. So, with that being said, we're going to give him his ball and string here. I still think we should have got the chain with this guy. I feel like he got ripped off. Now, what I like to do, I like to put this up here in his hand, kind of wrap it around, but fortunately that can be easier said than done, especially when you're trying to do it on camera. It doesn't like to go in there, and then it likes to pop out of his hand, because these hands, I never like these small skeleton hands. Skeleton hands, yeah, they're just not that practical. There we go. I got it wrapped around, I think it's good. But there he is with his mace. I like to put his little kniff in this hand up here. I did a hand swap, clearly, if you couldn't tell, just to mix it up a bit. Mostly for final thoughts, but originally this grip hand would be down here, but it's up there, so you know what, deal with it. I like it that way. I like him having the ball and chain kind of resting in his hand there. The ball and string, whatever. Should have had the chain, dang it. That's really my main complaint with this figure. Other than the fact he is tricky to stand because of the upper body weight. So maybe tighten up those ankles a little bit, fellas. So I don't have to heat and swap and pop and swap and just switch stuff out. It's kind of a pain in the butt. But you know, if I have to, I'll give him somebody else's ankle joint that's on a horse and also has 6 arms with you. So with that being said, before this turns into a rant about why I want the chain over the string, let's move right along and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here is good old Okiados, which in hindsight kind of sounds like a Spanish word. Let me know if it is, by the way. I'm very curious. Hopefully it's not a swear. Either way, here we have him alongside the other Masters of the Universe homage character from this All-Stars 5 Plus wave, good old Xylathon to the left. He is, of course, an homage to Stratos, not in all of his Sean Connery glory, because he doesn't look like the Sean Connery Stratos from 2000X. He looks more like a winged, jacked, helmet-wearing guy. I don't know. I feel like they really, really went hard on that Stratos homage. They really did. It goes to show you that someone at 4 Horsemen gives a crap about that character, but it's still freaking Stratos. That said, we also have the Masterverse New Eternia web store to the right for something a little bit more quote-unquote traditional, more traditional than a Mythic Legions Masters of the Universe homage, we'll say. And yeah, the Masterverse figures, they just kind of tower over everything, don't they? They're a little bit closer to 7-inch scale than good old Mythic Legions here, so this web store is kind of tall compared to the Mythic Legions figure there, so moving him out of the way. Attempt to move this freaking Xylathon here without causing a cataclysm, because he is a deluxe in a basic figure box, to say the very least. But with that said, we do have our 2 regulars, Brother Mandibulus, another skeleton man here. Now, the Okiados here is not a skeleton per se, he just has the skeleton parts. He's more like a ghoul or a spider ghoul or something. Some weird race, I can't remember what it's called. It's not Arachna something, is it? I can't remember, but... And we, of course, have the infamous 11 Spawn, who, like the Masterverse web store, towers over Okiados here. So, with that being said, time to wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, and even with all of its shortcomings, I gotta tell you, good old Okiados here is by far one of my favorite Masters of the Universe homage characters from the entirety of the Mythic Legions line. Now, don't get it twisted. If I ever get my hands on the Skeletor homage character Keltis, automatically dethroned. There will be no knocking that figure off the potential pedestal I will put him on, because A, you can't knock the skeletons, man. You just can't. At least not around here. Do not do it in my presence. It is not allowed. And on top of that, you cannot beat a I'm Blue Abadi Abadai skeleton. So, there is that. But as far as being a homage to one of my favorite evil warriors of all time, good old web store, I think, quote-unquote, not web store here, Okiados, does a pretty solid job of doing that, and does some things a little bit more different than I would have anticipated. Since Masters of the Universe is all about being big and buff and bulky, I figured they would have used 1.0 parts, but instead we got the 2.0 parts, much like we did with Mephitor. I'm not a big fan of the 2.0 parts, to tell you the truth. I like the 1.0 stuff better. Just feels better in hand and whatnot. But for what it is, I think this guy does a few things better than the Mephitor figure did. The Mephitor was a goblin scale figure, right? This guy isn't. He's got the cool back adapter from Elithia that's got the extra arms. Really, my only gripe with this figure is that he doesn't come with some pauldrons. At least I don't think he does. To kind of help fill out the box a bit. Because let's just say the Stratos homage, aka not Stratos, aka Xylothon, filled out the box and then some. Whereas this guy feels a little light. Not just because he's a 2.0 either. But I don't care for the weapons that much. I would have rather have had the chain instead of the bungee cord for the Morningstar there. And the dagger doesn't really do the best job of representing his gun, but, I mean, there are no guns in Mythic Legions other than the crossbow. And I'm not a big fan of those either, so, you know, didn't have a whole lot to work with. Oh, and I would have liked a skull head too, other than the helmeted vampire head maybe. I think a skull head would have been awesome. That would have probably put him over the edge enough for me to put him as one of my tops for the year. But either way, it is what it is. He is what he is, and I still like him either way. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later.